about. Yeah, I got skills, do it for the thrill. I'm on a paper route. Extra, read about it. I'm today's trying to top it. I put commas over bullshit. Yeah, I put that on mamas. They trying to block on my blessings.
Nathan, 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 NathanIvy.com. Mr. Ivy, know the show must go on. As far as Cincinnati, man, I put on. Tunes made another flame beat for me to cook on. Raised arms, close fists, yeah, too strong. Team NI, chop it up at the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cop squats in, listen to the real. Jumping like hopscotch, nobody harder than, oh, no, think not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlatives, keep it locked like them Haitian guys. Put the truth in the airwaves, we talk about it. Brand new like the 10th place, let's be about it. Who got the info by the AM? Jono be the rapper, got them jamming when they play him. Staying in my lane, they ain't gotta okay him. Who the host with the scoop? Yeah, they gon' say him. Ivy, so superlative like a bag of Drippos. Show you where the Brits at, Cincinnati Reds at. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at. It's the 5-1-3, yeah, you know the flow. What's the word, Nate? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at.
Let's get straight into it, shall we? Lots of things to discuss. Coming up at 9 a.m., we've got a guest that'll be talking about a local nonprofit, and they've got some opportunities. You've got some opportunities for those that might be interested. It could be a way to make some cash, but also serve a greater purpose at the same time. That's coming up at 9 a.m. this morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to the show. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Renew Community Church. It's about to happen for you in 2022. Learn how to feel good every 60 seconds of your life as things manifest for you. Now, you could tap into the live stream on Facebook at facebook.com/Cincy Renew, CINCI Renew. You can also tap in on YouTube at Renew Community Church live stream for the Sunday morning masterclass. So, you got COVID out here. People just don't want to travel, but you still want to get some blessings. You want to get some motivation. This could be something interesting for you. Tap in on Sunday at 11:45 a.m. for the Sunday morning masterclass. Good morning to you. And welcome back. Good morning. Welcome back. Let me move this camera just a little bit. I think I like it better just like that. Yes, I do. Zip this down just a little bit. Good morning to you. Hopefully you're doing well. Throw this image back up here. This is an image that I screenshotted from a video. Those are two men who allegedly were involved in the murder of young Dolph down in Memphis. And there's a couple of points I want to make about this. One, we all knew that the perpetrators of that crime were going to be brought to justice. We all knew that. Sometimes I wonder if the fact that the murders of Tupac and Biggie have not been solved, if that promotes the idea that you can kill a rapper and get away with it. Because Tupac and Biggie were huge. And they were never brought to so-called justice. Although if you watch Vlad TV on YouTube and some of these other YouTube channels, they've kind of figured it all out. We know who killed Biggie and we know who killed Tupac. As much as you can without having a smoking gun, so to speak, especially in the murder of Tupac. There might be more questions in the murder of Biggie, but the murder of Tupac, the streets pretty much know who it is. The internets pretty much know who it was. And that man is now dead. And I wonder if like years and years and years of, the media and people talking about the fact that we don't know who killed Tupac and Biggie kind of lends itself to the belief, right, that you can kill a rapper and get away with it. But these two men have now, as you can see, they had their first preliminary hearing, and you'll see more and more about this in about a week or so, in the weeks to follow, because they both said they needed some time to get a lawyer. And this story is just absolutely ridiculous. Young Dolph, born and raised in Memphis, was gunned down in a parking lot. The man on the right, police found him in Indiana after he released a music video. You won't even believe this. This man, the man on the right there, I'll give you all the details, his name and all that kind of stuff in a second. They found him in Indiana. And I was on the internet and I saw a music video that was released while police were looking for him. Now, I don't know when they shot the video, but it was released while they were looking for this man. Can you imagine being wanted by authorities for the murder of young Dolph? And in that time span, your music video releases. I watched the whole video. It was absolutely disgusting. This man's talking about how he's violent. Yeah, I'm young and I'm violent. Uh-huh. Looking like a damn fool. Looking like a damn fool. And I want to hear what their motive was. Like, why did they shoot young Dolph? Was it ego? Was it clout? You shot young Dolph so you can go back and say you shot somebody? Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Justin Johnson. That's the brother on the right. Stupid as hell. Yeah. He was dancing around, showing money. Oh my God, we don't have a chance. We don't have a chance. But it needs to be underscored that police said that they received over 500 tips in this case. And as I've said before, one of the biggest misconceptions, if not downright outright lies, is that when there's a crime in the community, Black folks don't help law enforcement. Who do you think comprised the bulk of those 500 tips? I bet it was Black folks. Nobody cares more about crime than the people that live in the neighborhoods where the crimes are committed, or they have family members and associates and loved ones, friends that are associated or close to the crime. Nobody cares more about the crime than those folks. They try to make it seem like Black folks don't cooperate with police. Now, Black folks have every reason not to cooperate with police based upon the history. We got every reason. And yet we still do. And I saw one of the U.S. Marshals in a press conference about a week ago, and he said they were receiving tips like crazy from all over the South, all over the Midwest. People was doing their best to help law enforcement to try to apprehend the suspects, because they're suspects at this point, alleged. They haven't been brought to trial. They haven't plea dealed or anything like that, plea bargain. We don't know if they are even the right individuals. We don't know yet. Some tells me they wouldn't expend all this time and energy just to be wrong. But, you got to be fair in America. We don't know. This mofo actually put out a rap video. But again, they received over 500 tips. I bet you 95% of them were some Black folks. It's always like that. But then they want to act like, well, y'all just ain't helping to solve the murder. You the detective, you go solve the murder. That's your job. I don't want to get involved, right? Because you can't protect me. People want to be protected if they come forward. They don't feel like they're going to be protected. They ain't coming forward. I don't give a damn what happened. I got to make sure me and mine is going to be cool afterward, right? We got to discuss 513-873-7134. Voting rights are dead. DEAD or DOA, dead on arrival. And nobody should be surprised by that. Joe Biden is going to struggle to pass anything else of any substance moving forward because of the rules of the United States Senate. It's not because he don't care about Black folks. Even though some new black media is absolutely irresponsible. I got an example for you. I'll share with you early in just a little bit. Some new black media is absolutely irresponsible. Hell, some black media across the board, irresponsible. I don't want to hear these motherfuckers talking about, we told you it was the old bait and switch. You black folks is always going for the up fake. You going for the Yao Ming at the 3-point line, head fake. Yao Ming never shoots 3-pointers. Stay on your feet, black folks, right? Instead of educating people about how the U.S. Senate actually works. Ain't ish going through the Senate. As long as Joe Manchin and Christian Sinema are there. That's just the way the rules are. You're not getting any changes on filibuster, and that's what it is, period. Focus on the local. It ain't happening, Captain. Christian Sinema and Joe Manchin are not going to give up their prime position by voting to change the way, the filibuster works, because it takes away their advantage. Why would they do that? Oh, for the country smuntry. Nobody cares about the country anymore. Everybody trying to get them dollars. They're trying to get power. They're trying to get money or whatever else, humans are into. That's what it's all about these days. That's what it's all about these days. Nothing more. So voting rights are dead. Everybody's gonna, irresponsible people are gonna, they're gonna blame Joe Biden. I'm not here to protect anybody. I'm here to give you the facts. Voting rights dead. Now, why is it so important? Well, it's so important because right now Republicans have a lot of control on the state level, and they've been doing their best to try to pass legislation that on the surface it appears to protect the vote, but beneath the surface is really designed to disenfranchise voters that they don't believe will vote for them. Period. The Republican response to the last presidential election cycle was to pass laws that on the surface, in terms of what they'll say, it's all about protecting the right to vote. But when you dig into the details, it's really about disenfranchising the vote. It's really about that. I was watching the Truth to Power podcast. You should check it out yesterday. Joe and TNT were talking about voting rights. A brother called in. Forget the brother's name. I think his name was Chris. He called in. He's like, well, what's wrong with using the voter ID? You got to have a voter ID to get on a plane. Well, why do you have to expand the time when people vote? I mean, just plan your time accordingly. Gotcha. Some folks just don't understand the plot. They just don't get it. But I'll say it again. Ding dong, voting rights is dead, period. It ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? Filibuster reform, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. And it don't matter what Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or anybody else thinks, that's what it is. And that's just the way that the system is set up right now. And I don't see it changing anytime in the foreseeable future. Why would it change? Why would Joe Manchin change his mind? Why would Christian Sinema change her mind? Why would they do that? They've got no incentive to do it. Right now, it benefits them. Any kind of Democrats want something, they got to run to their office and kiss their ring. Perfect scenario, right? Why would I give that up? Why would I give up my prime position for the country? Like I told you, country spuntry. Nobody cares about the country anymore. It's all about power and greed and whatever individuals want. That's what it's all about these days, even if you're a U.S. senator. That's what it's facts. What's facts? There you go. You got Christian Sinema there on the left. And Joe Manchin from West Virginia. She's the senator from Arizona. She took over John McCain's seat. Somewhere John McCain, I don't know what John McCain would do. Who knows? I can't even speculate on it. But don't let these people fool you with their misinformation. Some of new black media is as bad as Trump media. Some of these cats in so-called new black media are as bad as Trump media. They're doing the same damn thing to the people. They're lying to people and playing on people's emotions, and it's the Trump playbook all over again. But instead of it being Trump, it's black folks. It's the same thing. I'll tell you in a second. You may not like it, but I don't give a damn. So what? It's the truth. It's my truth. It's my truth. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. If you'd like to share your thoughts this morning, hold on a little abracadabra blam. There it is. Let's change the color. I got magical powers on behind the microphone, and then things happen. Oh, thank you, FG. Appreciate you. Rachel writes, mansion and cinema are further proof of how politicians are really there to serve themselves. Correctamundo. Correctamundo. We got vegan ice cream cones for all the choppers this morning when they made great points. As in non-dairy. Gladys writes, just finished watching the arraignment. One of the suspects didn't even have a family member in court for him. I wouldn't be, if that was my family member, I'm not going to court for you. Negro, you on your own. And I ain't putting no money on your books. You on your own, homie. I wasn't with you when you was cutting that black man down. I'm not gonna be with you through your whole process. You do that on your own. You better get you better get your chess game together or something. I don't know, you better start washing underwear. Whatever you got to do inside to get your hustle on, that's what you're gonna have to do. I ain't sending you $1. Not 1 red cent. And I ain't gonna feel bad about it. What I look like going to court with a mofo that murder somebody? I ain't going to court with that. Politically Petty Podcast Show writes, thankfully, cinema will get primaried. She may. Look at these fools. You want to see this video real quick? I don't know. I mean, nah, I'm not going to show you the video. I'll show you the link or so where you can get it. I don't want to run into any copyright issues. Facebook is the most hypocritical platform ever known to mankind. As I've said before, they let Trump and the Trump pansies run around and tell lies and use their platform to hatch conspiracies and to plot against the overthrow of the government. But then when you say the N-word or you repost something, these motherfuckers want to hit you with a copyright strike. Craziest thing in the world. It is the craziest thing in the world. We must discuss, though. We must discuss. I'm reading that CPS is going to return to in-person learning starting on Monday. Hooray, hooray, hooray. I know it's been so difficult for it's been a big challenge for working parents out there and single parents and really parents, grandparents, and all the folks. I want to say thank you to all the people out there. I know at the CRCs, they've been helping the young people get online, and parents have to work, and grandparents and aunties and friends and nephews and all the people working and stepping in and trying to help out. Thank you so much for our community, for the young people. Because it could be tough, man. It can be tough. I seen this article this morning. It was written by Madeline Mitchell, who is the education writer for the Cincinnati Enquirer, and it was talk about the difficulties that parents are having, especially with the young ones, which we've talked about as well. And there's a lot of concern about learning loss. And I have the same concern as well. However, as I said, you had them children. Them children ultimately going to go back to the responsibility of the folks that had them. You got to make it happen, Captain. We in the same position. Hey, what's up, Rodney? He writes, morning, Nate. What's up, Rodney? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Absolutely. Let me see. Hold on. I want to show you this. You got to watch. You got to watch shit these days. So a member of what people would call New Black Media, I'm not sure if you hit this before, but it's called the Black Authority. He posted something on his social media that sent people into, let's just say that people had issues with it. And it came across my radar screen. I thought, what in the hell? We got to talk about this. I thought dude was over the top with this one, but everybody got a different opinion. I'll show you what he posted, and I'll give you my thoughts about it in just a second. But first, let's go to the phones. Good morning and welcome to the show.
McCrack, the only person in the chop shop that seems to care about the current condition of our country and the direction that President Biden has taken the country after 1 year in office. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, man. This ain't
Mr.
starting
Ivy,
good, but go ahead, sir.
I was enjoying your monologue. I could not believe what I was hearing after the way you dismissed me yesterday when I tried to give a pre what do you call it? A pre-assessment of the president's press conference. You cut me off. You thought I was mad, but come on, Nate. You know I never get mad at you, bro.
Okay.
This is what I do. So anyway, if I could ask you one quick question before I proceed, if you will allow me, what prompted your monologue today in reference to announcing full-throated with your chest that the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Act legislation is dead?
Well, it's a current conversation, but again, I felt that way even before yesterday.
Yeah, but why did you cut me off yesterday when I tried to discuss it? You looked like you were in your feelings and you didn't want to talk about it. So I was just wondering what happened in 24 hours.
What are you asking me exactly? I feel like we're going down the same road. So why don't we just get to the point?
My point is, yesterday, you knew the president was having a press conference. I tried to talk about it, and we're going to move on. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. So then this morning, I turned on your show, and this is your lead monologue, other than obviously the men that were arrested in the Dolph case. But most of your monologue was about your disgust with the Democrat Party.
That's not it.
I'm just asking, what happened in 24 hours? Was it that debacle of a press conference?
I still don't understand what you're asking, man. Can you have a point? Go ahead and make your point, and let's get to the conversation.
Okay. I see what you're doing, and I'm gonna ask you one more time. What happened in 24 hours to get you to talk about the current condition of the Democrat Party in just 24 hours when yesterday you didn't want to talk about it? That's all I'm asking, Mr. Ivy. I don't see how that's
I just
confusing.
reject your question, and I don't understand what you're asking me for the third time. So for the third and last time,
all right.
Why don't we just move on and you just get to whatever your point is?
Okay, my point is the press conference yesterday. Did you see it?
No.
Did you watch the highlights like you recommended that people will do?
I did watch the highlights.
Before you cut me off?
I did watch the highlights.
Do you want to talk about it, or you want to talk about young Dolph's case?
I mean, I'm
just asking. Because Mr. Ivy, I'm the only one in this entire year that has held the president accountable. I'm the only one.
Is that what you call it?
Nobody. Glenn, none of the supporters, Brian, none of the supporters of the president have called in to say the great job or the direction that he's taken the country. All they want to call in and say, oh, drop lying, drop lying, drop lying. So,
that's their opinion.
Again, it's all, of course it's my opinion. And I got one. Oh, that's their opinion. Okay, so again, I appreciate the monologue that you gave this morning, letting the people know that the entire Black agenda that the president and the Democrat Party promised the Black voters who put him in office is now dead. I appreciate that, Mr. Ivy.
I was talking about with New Black Media is instead of telling
I'm not New Black Media. I'm just a concerned citizen.
No, you really are New Black Media, but you're making the same mistake, and that's what I was talking about. You're trying to twist my words around. My point is instead of educating people about the realities of the political gridlock, you want to point fingers. Oh, Biden don't care, and it's much deeper than that. It ain't about what Biden wants. It's about the way the Senate actually works and what can realistically be passed. And so that was my point.
So,
and you
but see, when I point things out like that about the system and how things work, you say I'm insulting the intelligence of your audience.
But I've never heard you point things out like that.
You're assuming.
You just
you,
did drop what you
no,
always did. You trying to blame Joe Biden. Oh, Biden was lying to you black folks the whole time. And what I'm telling you is there are structural forces at work that are bigger than what Joe Biden or Kamala Harris wants. It's bigger than them. And I think that media should be teaching people about the facts and the realities of what's going on and not getting caught up with the emotion and finger pointing and fear mongering and criminalizing and all this kind of stuff like is what you do. That's what you do.
Okay, well, Mr. Ivy, I don't insult people's intelligence. I don't assume that people don't know certain things, but there's proof that people do know how the system works. If you will look at the polling, Mr. Ivy, consistent polling over the last year, and mark it at August of 2021. That was the demarcation date when the president's polling and his policies started to tank to the point right now. The latest poll, Mr. Ivy, the man is at 40% after 1 year. That is worse. Okay. See, again,
most people don't care about polls because most people are not polled.
No, Mr. Ivy, that tells you that people know
in polls. Most people don't care about it.
People know how the system works.
And
you're assuming that don't nobody know. Why they mad at Biden?
No. A lot of people don't know how the systems works. No, that's the reality of it because they think it's.
How do you know that? How do you know?
Because I listen to it. I hear people. You know what I'm saying? I talk to people every single day. I've been doing it for 20 years.
Well, what about the choppers? You think the choppers know how the system works? That we got 3 separate equal branches of government? I'm pretty sure your listeners know how it works. I'm pretty sure your listeners know that Congress passes laws and the president either signs them or vetoes.
That's not really the issue.
I mean, that's what you said this morning.
That's not what I said this morning.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Ivy, I appreciate you, sir. And I'm not going to take up any more of your time because it is pretty clear right now from your monologue that you are sending the message to your listeners to just sit down, shut up, don't complain because ain't nothing going to happen, and show your ass up in November and vote Democrats in again. Drop Squad 52, dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. Peace out, Mr. Ivy.
He's in his feelings again. You just did it again. You're making a mistake that I hear a lot of people making in new black media. And instead of taking the time to really explain to people about what's going on and what they can realistically do if you really care about voting rights or black agenda or whatever, it becomes like finger pointing and fear mongering. Oh, I told you. I'm going to give you an example of the most unintelligent political take that I've heard since Biden got in office. I told you Biden wasn't going to do nothing. People keep saying that shit like that shit intelligent. Ain't shit intelligent about it at all. It's dumb as fuck. I told you Biden wasn't going to do nothing. If you don't shut your ass up, I mean, I think it's a little deeper than that. It ain't about what Biden wants. It ain't about what Kamala Harris wants. They personal feelings can't push shit through the U.S. Senate in the way it's currently constructed. But instead of talking about the political realities and the structural defects that are leading to the gridlock, they want to do this black not Democrat routine. I told you, get off that plantation and get the fuck out of here with that nonsense. Please stop. If you're not going to teach people the reality of what's really going on and give them the facts and arm them with that knowledge, then you just as bad as the Trump pansy media. Just as bad as the Trump pansy media. You know what I'm saying? And dropping his feelings because I'm not letting him get that nonsense off. So now you want to talk about this other ish. So be it. But I'm just telling you, I ain't here for it. You know what I'm saying? If we're going to have a conversation, let's have a real conversation that's based upon the facts that people can use, that can arm them. They can go out there and actually do something. You know what I'm saying? As I said, and we knew this beforehand, it's over with. It's just the way the structure, the U.S. Senate is set up. It is what it is. Yeah, sure, they can compromise and whittle down and scale back and take some of the more progressive elements out of their ideas and maybe work with a Republican. They might do that in the future. But as I see it right now, Christian Sentiment and Joe Manchin, they are in what's called the catbird seat, the driver's seat. Every time the Democrats want something, they got to go to knock on it. Excuse me, Mr. Manchin, you got a second? Oh, we just want to run something past you, right? So why would they give up that prime position for the country? I don't see them. Humans are way too selfish these days. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want what they want, you know, whatever feels good, whatever they think they want. That's where humans are these days. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality of it. Why would they give that situation up? You know what I'm saying? And he run around talking about black, not Democrat. Uh-huh. Like I told you before, it would make more sense if you said black, not partisan. Now you got something. But I mean, do you, bro? You know, if that works for you, that works for you. But and then for your question, I didn't know what you were asking me. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm talking about it because I want to talk about it. I didn't talk about it yesterday because I didn't want to talk about it. I mean, that seems pretty obvious. I don't have anything deeper for you. I'm sorry. I didn't really understand your question at all, but that's just how I feel about it. You might feel differently, and that's okay. You can always share your thoughts at 513-873-7134. I think we have a call on the line. Yeah, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey Nate, good morning.
Hey,
It's
what's up, brother?
Daryl from Atlanta. What's going on, man? I'm glad you're feeling better, man. You took care of yourself. I'm glad to hear the family was well. Do you think you had COVID, or
Yeah,
you think it was something else?
I think it was COVID.
It was COVID.
That's what I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'm glad. It's no joke, man. I mean, I haven't had it yet, but just hearing about people that were vaccinated and even boosts. They really had lingering issues, that what they call it, the long COVID part of it.
Hmm.
So
See, that's what I'm worried
um,
about, that long COVID part. But I feel good though. I
yeah,
think just getting that vaccine, and then the 2 years before that, just healthy living, working out every day, eating right, I think is helped me.
yeah, that probably helped you. Yeah, that probably helped you a lot. So yeah, man, I'm glad you're doing well, and I don't want to hear people go through that, but that's another thing. This Man, I'm with you 100%. So I'll start off by saying this. At this point, for Black people, as you said, with Cinema and Mansion, and I'll touch on that later, they gonna hang this up. Even if Schumer brings it back, there's not much he can do. I mean, he can be punitive against, because I think I was reading on Twitter in this thread I was in. I don't know if it was with Roland. I think it was part of Roland's after review of what happened. Somebody commented like he should, pull Cinema off committees and stuff. But I said he has to be careful with that, because Mark Kelly, who was in a similar position, senator from Arizona, he voted for the rules change. And so you don't want to, that's the needle you got to thread. But at this point, the bottom line is, for Black people, we have, I mean, this you ain't gonna like it, but it's the truth, and it speaks to what you were saying. You ain't gonna like it, but what we got to do is we got to suck it up, not being in our emotions, start thinking strategically, and go out and turn out even greater than we did in 2020 to get the Democrats at least enough power in the Senate to overturn the filibuster so we can get the things they want and get Biden's agenda in place. I mean, it's not going to happen any other way. I mean, that's the cold reality. All these people out here, and then I didn't even see the Black media stuff, but I know there are people out there. What has Biden done? Well, I'll ask you this question: what's going to happen? We don't turn out the vote. We hold out for reparations and all. They didn't do nothing. We all caught up in our feelings like some, adolescents that can't get over ourselves, and we don't vote. And then we allow fascists in. McConnell, wait a minute. Did you see McConnell's comments yesterday? I think that was yesterday.
What did he say?
About, well, African Americans voted at higher numbers than any other Americans. Did you see that?
I did
He's on
not.
tape saying that. Yeah,
Says
singled
it.
out African Americans from Americans.
African American, right?
Yeah, I mean, that tells you all you need to know right there, bruh. Yeah, I mean, as they say, it's in plain sight. I don't know why black people are, oh, well, we can't vote for the Dem. And then, drop black, not Democrat. He's proud to be, you know what he is? He's a Republican mascot, like Tim Scott, like Winsome Sears. He's a Republican mascot. That's all you are. You're that black mascot. Yeah, they put you on a flag with your face on it, shuffling and jiving. You're a black mascot. That's what you are. You're a black mascot for white nationalism. Him, Candace Owens, all of them. So if we ever have a cookout in Wakanda, hell no, they not invited if I got something to do with it, and I'll be the sergeant at arms to make sure they don't get through. Man, enough with that. And it's going back and forth. Notice that the economy is performing at its highest rate, the GDP, in 40 years. Biden's done a lot of stuff with the COVID rollout. Has it been perfect? No. But he's doing more than that other guy. That other guy wouldn't have done anything. And then the people talking about his cognitive ability, he just gave a 2-hour over 2-hour press conference, taking questions on the fly. Trump couldn't do that. I mean, he could do it, but he would always revert to talking about himself and getting cheated in the 2016 election. I mean, it's time out for the gaslighting. And drop anytime you want to battle. If Nate can make it happen, I'll battle with you, bro. Because you don't bring nothing to the table but a bunch of nonsense.
Oh,
no, I'm talking about verbal battle.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
Drops not going to do that.
Okay.
Only way he wants to verbal battle is on his show with his rules. That's it.
Oh, yeah, because that's right. I forgot he chickened out with Glenn. So.
Yeah, and Danita. Chickened out with Glenn, chickened out with Danita. So that's not his thing.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's my brother, though. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good, but I mean, and the last point I wanted to make, Mansion and Cinema, look, they are agent. I've labeled them as agent provocateurs. You know what those are? When we out protesting for Black Lives Matter and whatever else, voting rights, you always have those people when something goes down. They're not really part of the group, but they're there to cause trouble and really work against the group for the other side. That's what they're doing. So all they are moles. They're Republicans. They're not going to switch over and give it to McConnell. And I haven't really figured out why they won't go ahead and do it. There must be some leverage there that they're using, but they're gonna upend Biden's agenda. So the only choice we have is to redouble our effort of 2020 and come out even stronger. That's the only solution we have. Anything else, it's gonna hurt us first. We let the Republicans in. They hate us. They are trying to eradicate us. I don't know what these people don't understand. Talking about no vote without reparations. I mean, I want to cuss, Nate. I want to cuss, but I'm not going to. I mean, what? Look, even if we got reparations passed through the House and the Senate, and we had Democratic majorities and a filibuster proof with Biden in charge, you know what would happen? It would get to they would find a reason to bring it to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is 6-3 conservative. How you think that's going to turn out?
In their favor.
And so, right. They're going to overturn it even if we got it passed. So my point is, get out of your emotional feelings, get over yourself, start thinking strategically. Am I all Democrat? No, I got criticisms for the Democrat, but you know what? We have leverage with the Democrats. I'm not going to go to the Republicans. They'll speak to our needs. Yeah, the Democrats, we can critique them. We don't like what they do. We can do a lot of things and give constructive criticism. But at the end of the day, we in a two-party system. Starting a new party, that's poor timing. That's poor timing right now. That ain't gonna happen. And if you're gonna start a new party, you need to do it on the local level before you try to do it on the national level. So get that together first. Get some people in city council with the new party, whatever that is, and get that done before you try to go federal. And all I'm saying is we got to play with our heads and not with our hearts. That's where they get us every time. Peace out, Nate. Take care.
Appreciate the calls. 2 good calls back to back. Somewhere drop. I don't have no problem with you, bro. Here's that Mitch McConnell clip. Check this out.
What's your message for voters of color who are concerned that without the John L. Lewis Voting Rights Act, they're not going to be able to vote in the midterm?
Well, the concern is misplaced because if you look at the statistics, African American voters are voting in just as high a percentage as Americans.
And so people are saying that, wait a minute, what you mean African Americans are voting? What are you talking about? African Americans or Americans, right? So that's what the brother was talking about right there. And so it caused a little bit of a stir online. And people are like, well, wait a minute. Somebody should tell Mitch McConnell that African Americans are Americans. Oh, my God. So he got bombarded with criticism over his stance and then his comment right there. And the Republican stance is, well, look at the numbers. African Americans, record turnout. So why do we need it? But that's not really the point. The point is since the election of Joe Biden, all the things that have been put in place, see how he's playing games with the words? He knows full well what his party is doing because they're all in it together. Talk about all the things that have happened. Hold on one second. Talk about all the things that have happened since then. Hold on. I got a guest coming in at 9 a.m. I want to make sure that, I emailed it to you. Hold on one second here via email. This morning. I'll send it again. Hold on one second here. I want to make sure that my guest has the link that she needs to get into the show this morning. Give me 1 second here. So he's playing games with the words. They don't understand what's going on. Instead of coming up with better ideas, they say, you know what? Damn, we don't really have any good ideas. Why don't we just try to tinker with the way these elections are going to go down, and maybe we can get what we need there. Let's try that. All right, just resent it again, so hopefully she'll have the link and she can join us. Jerica writes, hola, beautiful black people, and the others too. TNT writes, there are two disgusting humans to me. It's an extension of the old arrogant white resistance to uphold white supremacy. I don't know. I mean, I think with Joe Manchin, he's in West Virginia. Didn't Trump take West Virginia? So he's dealing with a red state, perhaps. And then I think it's also, like I said, his power. You know what I'm saying? Because of the way that the rules are currently right now in the U.S. Senate, it means that Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, they stand out. You know what I'm saying? They stand out. Anytime the Democrats want something, they got to make a fruit basket and a picnic basket and knock on their door. Excuse me, Miss Senator Sinema, you got some time? I just want to bend your ear a little bit, right? And who doesn't want to be in that position? That's what I think. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, comrade.
What's up, Black Russia?
I'm chilling. What's happening?
I can't complain.
It won't do no good. Hey, I actually took the time out and watched a majority of the hearing on the Senate floor. And there were some really good speeches. But I got to say, the best speech came from Mitch McConnell. And here's why. Because he actually put it back on the Democrats' lap. Because here's the thing, they always gonna go through this when it's evenly divided. It just depends on what side of the argument you're gonna be on. Democrats have said the same thing. You know, we need the filibuster because Republicans have tried to do this stuff in the past too, as far as what they want to do. So, you know, Democrats will go out here and say, yeah, we need the filibuster. Now they're in a position where they got a president that's a Democrat, and now they want to eliminate it. It's like, be careful what you wish for, because one day the shoe's going to be on the other foot. And for me, it's like, and somebody tried to argue with me yesterday about this, but it's factually accurate what Mitch McConnell was saying, that ain't nobody out here getting stopped from voting. It's not happening. It is a myth. And Democrats are totally misplaying this when they should be worried about the economy, about inflation. I mean, they're gonna end up losing the House and the Senate because they're focused on the wrong thing. From my perspective, Voting Rights Act shouldn't be the number one thing. I mean, there's polls out here saying that election laws are like supported by Americans by like less than 1%. They're more worried about the economy. Like, they're not even reading polls out here. They're just trying to pull on the emotional heartstrings of Black people and Democrats. Well, basically used as a prop, y'all, by Democrats. And it's just, to me, it's over the top, and they're going to pay a political price for this. Ain't no vote. This voting rights stuff, like, have you even read what they're trying to propose?
I got a good idea of it.
Have you read it, though?
I mean,
I've
have I read
it.
every word of it? No. But do I have a good working understanding of it? Yes.
What is your understanding of what they want?
I don't want to get into all of that right now.
Sure, you don't.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
I got a good understanding of it. Let's put it that way.
All right. Suffice it to say this, that everything they're asking for in this particular bill is something that the federal government doesn't even get involved in. We're not even talking about this. There's no voter suppression going on. It is a myth. And like, Democrats are just trying to use Black folks as a political tool to advance their narrative.
Really?
So that's my perspective on it. I mean, I watched the speeches yesterday. They weren't even talking about the bill. When they finally got to the debate, the Democrats were not even talking about the bill. They were talking about Martin Luther King, just using trigger words. About John Lewis. Like, they kept this straight on personalities. It was nothing even about legislation. It was a pure power play that they tried to pull. And Senator Manchin wasn't trying to get down with the power play. And so Democrats look bad today. It looked terrible because they tried to use Black folks as a political prop to advance a narrative that just ain't true. Like, Black folks are actually voting. That's my perspective. Black folks are actually, if you look at the numbers, because I saw the numbers a couple of days ago. Somebody tried to tell me I didn't see what I saw. Like, as far as the ratio of African Americans who have been voting, they're on par with the ratio of white folks who have been voting.
Yeah, but as I just said, the problem with it, you sound like Mitch McConnell. I could tell you listen to him.
I'm telling you, he
the problem with it is, like, are you aware that since the election of Joe Biden, that you've had a lot of states that have passed election laws? Since the election of Joe Biden. So we don't have any numbers. We don't know what the impact is going to be on that. You are aware of that, right? Still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
So if you're saying that, and I'm not disagreeing with you that since the election of Joe Biden, states have put into play different election laws.
So you
are
aware.
I'm sorry.
Do you know how many states have passed election laws since the election of Joe Biden?
About 7, maybe, something like that.
19.
Now, well, 7 that are substantial. 19, everybody's going to have election laws. Election laws are always going to be legislated in these states.
I'm just saying.
But in terms of substantial impact, about half of them.
I'm just saying, since the election of Joe Biden, 19 states have passed election laws that, on the outside looking in, some have criticized to say it's going to make it more difficult for people that are non-Republicans, Black people in particular. So on one hand, you're saying you can't have it both ways. Black people have been the targets of these election laws. Though that's the fact.
How do you know that? How is that even factual? If you're talking to Democrats, you're talking to Black folks. What you doing? What you saying?
I'm just saying, Black people have been the target of these election laws. You know, after the big lie, these Republicans said, "Oh, okay, they tried to steal the election. They stole the election from Joe Biden. Let's use that energy to pass election laws in our states that will protect the rule of law and protect people's ability to vote. But again, people on the outside looking in are saying what it's really going to do is have a disastrous effect on people's ability, and in particular, black people's ability to vote. And so why would Republicans target black voters? Well, they would target black voters because they know that overwhelmingly the majority of black people vote Democrat. Daddy's working. I'm working. I'm working. We'll talk later, man. Can we talk later? Okay. We'll talk later. Little boy, don't think this camera gonna stop losing your mind. Sorry about that.
No, you good.
But like I said, so the reason why they target black voters is because statistically they know that black people overwhelmingly vote Democrat and not Republican. That's why they're targeting black folks. So when I hear you saying, I hear McConnell saying, well, look at the numbers in the last election. Yeah, but look at what's happened since the last election.
But like you said earlier, we don't even know the impact because the data's still out. So you don't even know. Number one, you don't know if they're targeting black folks. That's number one. Number two, you don't even know if the laws that they're passing in these states are going to impact voter turnout. You don't know that. These are assumptions, you know what I'm saying, that people are making. And then it goes back to the narrative, there you go again. Republicans are targeting black people. Like that's just the conclusion that people want to jump to that are just on the far left. And we, like you said, we have no data to support that. These states are going to pass whatever laws they're going to pass because it's the state legislator. And now people are asking for a federal takeover of elections. And it's just like, nah, that's not how it works. That ain't never how it works.
That's exactly. I mean, the Trump campaign targeted millions of black voters to try to stop them from voting. This is an old game. This ain't nothing new. They've been doing this since the beginning of time. The Trump campaign was trying to
get black folks to vote for him.
No, he was targeting black voters to try to take them off the rolls because you can predict the way that black voters are going to vote in a lot of these precincts and a lot of these elections. A lot of them are going to vote Democrat. And that's why there's a long-term strategy to disenfranchise black voters. This ain't nothing new. They've been doing this since the beginning of time. This ain't nothing new. The only difference now is because, you have some terms that expired. You have some states that weren't allowed to make any changes whatsoever in any election law because they had a history of targeting and disenfranchising black voters. That expired. So now they're back to their old tricks. This is history. This ain't nothing new.
Okay, if you want to spin it like that, that's cool. I'm just saying, like the numbers.
That's the truth.
That's not because we ain't got no data on that, on what you're saying.
We don't have no data on the fact that there were states that were prohibited from making any changes in their election laws unless they went through the federal government because they had a history of disenfranchising black voters in their states.
That's different from what you just said in terms of the narrative, in terms of the spin. Of course, there was history of that going on. But think about it like this now. It's easier to vote in Georgia than it is in New York. It used to be the other way around.
How do you know that?
You look at the laws.
Okay.
Look at the laws. I mean, New York is hard to vote up there. Georgia, you can go vote. Ain't nothing going on in Georgia like preventing people from voting. Ain't nothing people saying they're trying to stop people from voting in Texas. Like, come on, y'all. Y'all really going to just buy this hook, line, and sinker.
It wasn't Stacey Abrams running against, she was running for governor, right? And she lost against a man who was the top elections official while he was running for governor. And he made all these changes that pushed people off the voters' rolls, and she ended up losing by a small margin. Didn't that just happen within the last, 10 years?
The last 5, I think.
Yeah,
like in the last few years.
That just happened. That's the reason why Stacey Abrams was spending all her time trying to encourage people to vote and putting all her energy in voting because of the plot to disenfranchise black voters in her home state. She wasn't just doing that just because she wanted something to do. She was doing it because she was filling a void and a need. She was doing it
because she lost, because she's a sore loser. Look at what happened. They elected
that makes more sense to you.
She's a sore loser. Look, they got elected 2 Democratic senators down there in that special election. So Democrats won 2 Senate seats at the same damn time. And people are trying to tell me they're trying to suppress the vote in Georgia. They just elected 2 Democratic senators. I don't know if it ever happened in life. So, I'm just
but 2 things can be true at the same time. You acting like just because you had Warnock who was elected that there wasn't an attempt to disenfranchise the vote. They can both be true.
Bro, him, well, Ossoff was close. The white guy. His election was close. Warnock won, and it wasn't even close. It was pretty comfortable by the time they counted everything. I'm just saying that this is an overplay. People really ain't concerned about election law right now. They're really concerned about the economy. And Democrats keep trying to beat this drum like your vote is in danger. That's bullshit. No, it's not. I mean, it's easy, especially look at Ohio. It's so easy to vote in Ohio. We got like a whole month to vote.
Why don't we have 2 months?
You don't even have to show. What's that?
Why don't we have 2 months to vote?
But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, people always want more. Like, you don't think a month's long enough? Like 30 days? Like, well,
if a month is good, then 2 months would be great.
I mean, hell, make it the whole year. Just vote all year. You know what I'm saying? Come on. A month's long enough. If you can't squeeze in vote within 30 days, then it just ain't important to you.
That's your opinion, but it might not be people's reality. I don't know. All I can say is, why limit the right to vote in a time frame in any way? Why not make it 2 months? Why not make it as easy and have as much time as possible for whoever to vote whenever? Why not? I can't see any good reason against it.
I just think that people, you can't, number one, these are people who are going to count these votes and work for these board of elections. You don't want to overwork these people either. I mean, give a 2-month window for voting. These folks would be working 50 hours, 60 hours a week every week for 2 months.
Sounds like money in the bank.
Some of these people most of these people are salary. They're not even like hourly.
Sounds like money in the bank.
Bruh, for who? I mean, if you salary, you getting killed. I don't know, man. Ohio, look, we got some of the most secure, free, and open elections in our state. And I just, like the NAACP, I watched the show yesterday, like, what are they talking about? Like, they're acting as if our votes getting suppressed here. Like, that's not even happening. Like, you got the president used to be a board of elections. He's sitting on the board of elections. And he's sounding the alarm as if our vote is in danger here in Ohio. It's like, come on, bro. Like, they got nothing else better to do.
I hear you, brother. Don't look up. I get it. And I think that you grossly, underplayed what they're doing down in Georgia. You have grossly underplayed what they have done in changing their election laws, even with the ability of certifying certain elections and certain votes down there in Georgia. I think you grossly underplayed what the Republicans have done down there just to fit your narrative in his phone call this morning. That's what I think.
Okay, I appreciate that. But if Democrats would win some damn state legislative seats, then we wouldn't even have this conversation, probably, would we?
Well, we'd be having a conversation about gerrymandering. See how that works?
Well, I see how that works, but Eric is always going to be gerrymandering. The Republicans are in charge. They're always going to scream gerrymandering.
Since you brought up Ohio, just look at what happened in the state of Ohio as it relates to that new congressional map. It was a Republican Supreme Court justice here in Ohio. I mean, in the state of Ohio, to say, you know what, this is completely unfair. So you see the Republicans
it was 4-3.
You see the Republicans doing this across the board. On one hand, they want to gerrymander the congressional districts to make it so that they always have a majority in the state legislature. And at the same time, pass election laws to make it more difficult for people that they don't think are going to vote Republican to vote. That's their game plan. Their game plan isn't, hey, you know what? What are some new policy ideas that we think that people will get behind? That's not their game plan. Their game plan is to game the system so that they can be the Harlem Globetrotters to the Democrats' Washington Generals. And then they'll stand back and say, it's the will of the people. That's the way the people voted. The Democrats should win some elections. And people got to be smart enough to understand what's happening on the structural level, that they're predicting the conclusion before the battles even fought. Just like with the second congressional, the first congressional district, it's not the fact that he's so popular. You got a heavily gerrymandered district. I mean, he himself said it in the media a couple of years back. Thank God for this gerrymandered district, right? So it's not even really a fair competition of ideas. And they're doing the same thing with election laws, and you're underplaying it for whatever reason. I don't know.
Well, in terms of the gerrymandering, I got a different perspective. I mean, I agree with you in the sense that you got that right as far as the gerrymandering goes. But let's not be naive. If the Democrats were in charge, they'd be trying to gerrymander this shit too. So that's why we got courts to sort that shit out. Of course, say it's unfair. It's unfair. Redraw that shit. That's just how it goes. But to be like, oh, Republicans are just going to gerrymander. I mean, shit. Democrats will gerrymander that shit too if they're in charge. So like, it just depends on who's in charge. This ain't no just straight Republican thing. Republicans just happen to win more elections. If Democrats win some elections, they'd be gerrymandering this shit too. So, you know, I hear what you're saying, but hey, there's not one side more holier than the other.
All right, sounds good, but we don't know.
Because they don't win. I mean, if they won, we have some data. But until Democrats start winning some elections, then we just don't know. But I can safely say that if the Democrats were in charge, they'd definitely be drawing that shit to favor them too.
Okay, sounds good, man. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it.
All right, comrade.
Yeah, down in Georgia, one of their new provisions allows the state election board to take over the local election boards if they don't like the outcome. And all of this came as a result of the big lie. You know, Trump started telling those lies because he could see the end of the road. He knew he was going to lose. He knew it was going to be close because he was a bad president and he botched the COVID response. And so in a response to that, down in Georgia, they passed a whole new slew of election laws. And then one of the provisions allows them to say, oh, okay, I see you got that election board. We'll just say in Cincinnati and in Hamilton County, we don't like the conclusion you came to. We're going to take over the election board, and then we'll tell you who actually won. This is the kind of shit they've been doing all over the country. It's the truth. Those are the facts. You know what I'm saying? And black voters and black people's ability to vote has been under attack since, well, black people started voting. And it remains to this day. Because, again, I think what they should do as a Republican Party, I think the Republican Party should put more effort into coming up with policy ideas that will attract more voters. But who wants to put all the hard work into that? We'll just gerrymander and rig the system as much as possible. That's what's happening. And if the Democrats get the majority and they start doing it, we'll deal with that then. Right now, we know who's doing what. Simple as that. I mean, it's quite interesting, quite honestly. It's really interesting. And, you know, people like Rachel Maddow and MSNBC, they've been doing a good job of keeping up with, you know, all of the nationwide plot to try to steal the election and give it back to Joe Biden. Like, people was forging documents and certifying letters and sending it to the federal government, fake documents, all in an effort to overturn the election. So again, you know, corruption is real. It is what it is. And I don't want to come across like I'm in favor of one or the other, which I am. I'm in favor of the people. But the reality is what the reality is. That's what it is. But then you always gonna have people that, you know, gonna have a different opinion, and that's okay. I have no problem with it. All right, let's go back to the phones. Well, let's hold off on the phones. I got my guest backstage. Let's bring her on. And she is the founder of SOACT, Sandra Jones Mitchell. Got to bring her in and say good morning this morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well.
You're looking well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stay
I appreciate
strong. My husband just had that same bout. He laid down for a minute, but he didn't take anything. He just rest, lots of fluids and just rest. And my tender loving care, my appetite is food, and just he's better today. So I thank God. I think we need to make sure that we are at least getting the testing at least once a month. I call this the invisible monster because you don't see it. And we got masks, gloves, PPEs at the Wazoo. I think I've passed out over 50 some odd thousand. People are still dying in our community. So thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Long time overdue, actually. But let's get into it. Let's talk about SOACT. And for people who are not aware of this nonprofit that you started, tell us how you came up with the idea and just the history of SOACT.
Okay. Well, it's been a long journey, and it's been a wonderful journey. I can tell you, when I started this journey, I was a roofer. So I did roofing for 5 years with Zero Breeze Roofing Company, right? And I knew I could not retire as a roofer. Once I fell through the roof, I said, this is it. So I fell through the roof. I burnt my hand, 3rd-degree burn, and I went looking for a job. So I lived in Avondale. So one of the nursing homes was hiring. I said, I'm going to apply for this job. So I applied for the job, and I became an activity coordinator. But before all of that, My first job was Meals on Wheels at age 14 with CCY. We worked at Washington Park, and we prepared hot meals for the seniors, and we would take it to Avondale. And at that time, I lived in Commonsville, so I had no idea. I used to be, scared to death of Avondale. I was like, we can't go to Avondale. We just can't go to Avondale. All the stirs about what was going on Reading Road and all the bars, and so I was scared to death. So when we moved to Avondale at age 16, I knew it was just a wrap, and it was just God's way of just doing things. So then I started in the nursing home, and I was the activity coordinator. At that time, they had 5 nursing homes. And so I would go from building to building to building, doing activities. And I met some wonderful seniors. I'm telling you, their stories. Wait till you read my book that I'm finishing. And they touched my life. And I just became just embedded into their lives. So I would go through their charts and find out, where did they live prior to coming to the nursing home, and how did they get to the nursing home, and where was their family members, and what church did they attend? And so I would do extra, I would just love going in their rooms and just hanging out with them. And before you know it, my day was over. So I would volunteer to work weekends, because on weekends you didn't have administrative staff, so I can take them out. I would take them to their churches, go visit their family members. But one of my jobs that I hated the least about that job, every month I had to go around and let them sign all their checks so they could sign them over to the nursing home. And I really became, especially some of the guys, they were like, I'm not giving you all my money. And I really just didn't understand that piece of it. I mean, I was 23 years of age, so I didn't quite understand why they had to give up all of their money. And it still takes place today. And at that time, they got $25. So I'm talking 30 years ago, $25 a month. Now, today, they only get $25 more dollars. So we're talking $50 in 30 years. So I've been fighting that fight with the Ohio Department, with Medicaid. Why can't they have $100? So anyway, I need folks to get on that bandwagon with me, because what are you going to do with $50? The inflation is not keeping up with those folks that are in the nursing home. So, the activity job was interesting. There was 3 of us, and most of the seniors were African-American seniors. All the administrators was white. All the nurses was white. All the aides was Black. And I used to say, this just don't seem right. We need to go to school to become nurses, doctors, occupational therapists, physical therapists, and podiatrists, and the whole shebang. And my wheels was turning at age 23, and I just knew I had to go back to school. And so I would just ride around the community and say, okay, at that time, Avondale had a population of probably 56,000 people. We're down to 14,000 people now. Big jump. Had 26 nursing homes. Now we got 2 nursing homes in that community. And so I would ride around the community, and I would see this bus pick up all these seniors. And I'm thinking, where are they taking the other seniors? And they were taking them over to Good Sam. At that time, Good Sam had an adult day program. So I remember going inside the building, and they would all be sitting there smoking cigarettes. At that time, you was allowed to smoke inside the building. It would be smoky. They drinking coffee. And I would say, you guys getting out of your beds to come here to sit and do nothing? And so the director at the time, her name was Sandra as well. And so we got to talking, and I said, tell me a little bit about this adult day program. I'm curious to see how this works. And so we met and we talked, and we hit it off so well, to the point to where we started SOAC together. So she's the co-founder. This was in 1988 when we started talking about SOAC, and she was everything. So we became nonprofit in 93. She died in 95. And I could tell you, Nate, I can remember being up at Jewish Hospital and visiting with her, and she was dying of breast cancer. And I would say, Sandra, you can't leave now. We're just getting started. And her whole thing was, if you're going to keep this business going, you're going to have to do it without me. I'm like, nah, you're going to get well, and you're going to get out of here. You got a family. And she died that next day. And I was just lost. I was like, God, I don't know what to do. But so actually, she was the writer. I was the talker. She was the writer. She wrote our first grant. I had to go to Tampa, Florida to get the $5,000. First time I ever flown in my life. And but we got that $5,000, and we had that $5,000 for a whole year and a half. We didn't pay ourselves. And so her whole theory was, we're going to pay ourselves last and keep our jobs and just make sure that the seniors didn't have to pay for services. So we start visiting seniors, and if I get a little emotional, just forgive me, you guys. So the first name was Seniors of Avondale Community Turf. Remember now, it was 56,000 residents in Avondale. So I'm working with now almost 20,000 seniors. So they are in the nursing home, the senior housing, and it was just phenomenal. It was like seniors coming out my ears. And so we would do these free programs. We had dances over at Hirsch Recreation Center, and at that time, Victory Neighborhood Services was in business. They would allow us to use their vans, and their drivers, and they would bring them to wherever I was having a different event, and we paid for it pretty much out of our pockets, and got a lot of in-kind service, and just doing it, and not knowing that 30 years later, here I am, self-sufficient, got money coming in, got grants coming in, senior life is okay, but it didn't get to be this way without the help of other people and the grace of God. I met so many good people that helped me write grants and helped me see that I needed to get my books in order with the IRS. And because for the first 20 years, Nate, I thought we was just a club. I didn't look at it as a business. I had a decent job with the county, so I didn't mind spending my own money. And then one day, Robin Clark, who was with Compound Taxes, she said, Sandra, every year she would tell me how much I spent of my own money. And when I got up to about $6,000, I was like, whoa, we got to figure this out. This is taking money out of my household. But I didn't look at it like that. I looked at it as if God was going to provide everything I needed, and I would get the money back. And I was young and didn't have a clue when I got my marketing degree from the College of Mount. I'm sorry, Cincinnati State. And then I went to College of Mount St. Joe and got my bachelor's degree in gerontology. And I just still thought, we're a club and we're going to just make sure we pay attention to the Department of Aging, the Ohio Department of Aging, Council on Aging. And I would go to all these meetings, and I thought about it. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, all these folks making millions of dollars and we're not really making anything. And I said, we got to rethink this as a business. And what does this look like for SOAC's future? So I started thinking in terms of how could I have some residual income coming in. And my theory is, and I tell my family members, and when you talk to them, they'll say, I got two things that I tell them: take care of me when I get old and have multiple sources of income. Bring in at least 3-4 sets of income into your household every month, because you're not going to make it. And so with SOAC, working with the elders, it really became overwhelming. I got to the point on my job, I was using my sick time to take them to the doctors, and I really became just so invested into their lives, to where I was cleaning out the refrigerators. I got 2 marks on my arms now from scratches. At that time, it wasn't no self-clean stoves. And just because at that time, through Metropolitan Housing, if you didn't pass inspection, you got put out. And so I knew if I kept the house clean, they wouldn't get put out. So Metropolitan would give me a list of seniors that needed their house clean, and at this time, still not making any money. Didn't know that I needed to contract out with Metropolitan Housing. So folks, you got to be thinking in terms of everyone else is getting paid. How do you work your way in a system? And so Fallon was able to do that, got free office space, and I still was able to clean their homes. And I was so glad when it came up with self-clean ovens. Boy, I tell you, I didn't know what to do with myself. But I can tell you, I would get off my job at 2:30. And that's why, I'm so emotional, even with my son, because I feel like as a parent, I didn't, really put as much time in to his young life as I should have. So because I was always out in the community doing other things. So one of the things I did learn from my elders: take care of home. Don't overdo it so much in the community, in the church, where your family is neglected. You don't have no food on the table. Your son homework ain't done. Don't ever, ever neglect your family and your kids. So our elders, they taught me how to be a better person, a better woman. I knew I wasn't going to have a house full of kids, so I only got the one. I knew I was never going to move in with a guy, or a guy move in with me. I didn't until I got married to my husband at 54. And just a lot of things that our elders, when they say wisdom, that's what they're talking about. So I used to capture all of that. I have every bit of 1,000 photos. I start taking pictures and just writing down their stories. So I got pieces of papers everywhere where Miss Jessie said this and Mr. John said this, and they live like this. And what really started getting to me when they would say, baby, could you go check on my house? Could you see if my house is still there? And I would go, and house sold, or their daughter, son, then moved in, and it just was a mess. It's still a mess to this day, people. And so I told myself I never was going to lie to them. So I would come back and say, things are different. and your house is no longer your house, especially here in Avondale. Boy, the zoo, the UC Health, they was 10. Boy, they still buying houses. I think between those organizations and institutions in our community, I think they have 300 and some odd thousand houses. And I have to get the exact number from Ozzie Davis. But it's a lot of families. You think about that, a lot of families. That many houses now gone, that are now institutions, that are now vacant lots, that now Uptown and all these other folks own all the property, that a lot of these seniors, when I started out, they lived in these houses. They owned them houses. And see, Medicaid didn't kick in, start taking your property until about 15 years ago. So I'm talking 30 years ago, where these folks owned their land. It was their stuff. And so with SOAC, serving older adults through changing times, how do we serve seniors through changing times? So we also had the name of Serving Seniors of Adult Children Today. So that was my second name. I was reaching out maybe to the adult children. I would say, your mom need help. Your dad need help. And to this day, I'm still saying, your mom need help. Your dad need help. And I can tell you, Nate, we have just dropped the ball. It's worse now than I ever would have imagined. So now I'm that 60-year-old woman. It's horrible. It's horrible. I visited a nursing home yesterday. The urine was so strong, it burnt my eyes. And so contact administrator, talking to the nurses. You know what they said? They said, well, it must be down that end of the hallway. I don't give a crap what end of the hallway it is. It shouldn't be nowhere. The young lady, I'm her guardian. When I say I'm a guardian, so Cincinnati Area Senior Service is looking for folks to be guardians of some of these folks that are in a nursing home. So I'm giving you a couple of choices and charge on my flight that I need help with. Sign up for guardianship. It's free. You go to court, you become this person legal guardian. People say, oh, I don't want to be responsible for anybody. Well, you don't have a choice. We're all here to take care of each other. And as an advocate for our seniors, they can't advocate for themselves. We gotta help them. I went to court yesterday and became this lady's guardian. She's got a son out here somewhere. I don't know where he's at. She's 88 years old. And when I read her chart, this is what happens. She had a neighbor complaining about she wasn't taking care of business. They called the police. The police come. They take her to UC hospital. From UC, they put her in this nursing home. This was in 2015. So I asked the court yesterday, I said, what happened to her stuff? And it's like, well, it was some things in there that just wasn't right, and they threw it all away. But when you go see her, the first thing she say, what happened to my dinette table? What happened to the pictures of my mom? And she can name off everything. She said, all I did was just had a bad day. She said, how in the heck I end up here? She was cussing though. I said, ma'am, I don't know. But to wrap around that, I know I got to get over there and visit with her a little bit more, because she won't let them bathe her. She won't let them do her hair. She won't let them do anything, because in her mind, she's going home today. So now she's been there saying the same story since 2015. So I asked yesterday, I said, well, could I just maybe take her over to her building so she can see that it's no longer there? Because right now her anxiety level is so high. She's smart enough to know, and she's 80-some years old. She said, every time they give me those pills, I'm hallucinating and I'm sleepy and I'm just crazy. I ain't taking no more than medicine. And so as an advocate, I got to advocate. So the first call I get yesterday, we need her to take her medicine. We need her to take her shots. I'm like, well, wait a minute. We're going to all meet together with her. They don't want to meet with her because she didn't cuss them all out. She's going to cuss me out too eventually. But I'm not going to give up on her. And that's the other piece to it. You're going to get cussed out. Just like the teachers in the school, you don't give up on that kid. Same way with our elders. So as an advocate, my job is to make sure that I'm at the table when Pro Seniors is talking about legal ratification for our seniors. When they're talking about getting back their pension, I want to be at that table. Thank God for Bernadette Watson. She had nominated me for that committee almost 7 years ago, still on that board. Council on Aging, get tax dollars. We need to hold them to the table, hold me to the table. But when you're using public state dollars, I think that you should have an open book. I think your board should represent the community. I think that you have an obligation to make sure that those elders, if they need 1 day a week, you give them 2 or 3. Because I'm telling you, if you don't make it in your home, you're going to a nursing home. And there's not one in the city I would recommend, right? I do have
Not one, Sandra?
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Nate.
You're saying there's not one nursing
Not
home
one.
in the city?
Not one. Not one. We had one nursing home that was African-American owned, but we destroyed that. Alaska Acres, Dr. Pooh and Mrs. Pooh, they set that up so we could have a nursing home. They were right there in Avondale. They couldn't get our community to put our people there. And I would go visit, and the place was nice, nicer than any place I've seen. I see some nice places around here, but go behind the back wall. So I do a story called Behind the Walls. And it's a different ballgame. When your Medicaid run out, then you go down the other hall. As long as you got some dollars coming in, you can stay in the front part where it smells fresh. But as soon as your butt run out of money, your butt going to the back hall almost cuss, because I'm telling you, that back hall is not good. The floor is dirtier. It's horrible in the back wall. You can visit any of these nursing homes, ask them to see the poor folk side. I'm telling you, you would shut them down. But see, now it's a corporation. If you Google it, these guys are making billions in dollars off nursing homes. They used to be privately owned. A few of the churches used to own the nursing homes. Them days is over. Them days, when I started this, some of the churches owned the nursing home, and they sold it. They sold it to the big corporations, and now it's a business. I mean, they're making, I think this one nursing home made like $5 billion. I'm like, everybody in there should be living good. Them seniors living like crap. The average senior is paying $60,000 to $80,000 a year. That kind of money, with that kind of money, that's not even counting their pension. That's just Medicaid dollars and Medicare dollars and other things that they're billing the state for, the pharmaceutical dollars. I'm telling you guys, this is a big business. And what my future for SOAC is to maybe have our own building, right? So that we can help other young people to maybe study gerontology, because that's also, it's a big business. When you understand the process of aging, you can age better. But if you're already struggling, which most of our elders are because they're in poor health, and I'm gonna tell you, this coronavirus has pulled the rug from up under us. You're talking about health disparity. Closing the health gap should be all over everything, but they're only a small group. So guess what? We got to help them. You got to help SOAC. There's things that we got to do so we can secure our future. You know, SOAC it's a great organization, but Nate, I focus in on the socialization and the isolation. So I consider us the fun people, right? I care about what's going on in your household, but I can't fix that. So I contract out with other folks to do your home health care, because I did all that. And I want now to bring them outside their doors. So that's why we're doing the computer training, the digital inclusion, tax savvy training. So I need help with that too, folks. If you want to help train these seniors, I can tell you, yesterday we had 5 people, took us 2.5 hours. That's a long time. But if you've never been on a tablet or a computer, it's like asking someone to fly, when you're 70, 80 years old. They're not going to get it. So I want someone that's going to be passionate about it and just take our time with them. And that's what we do with SOAC. We are an organization that focuses in on your ability to age in place. So I got monies that I can help you. If you need help in your household, say to put up grab bars, I can help you pay for that. We don't have a whole bunch of money like some of these organizations, but every time I write a grant, I match a grant. So if SOAC write a grant for $50,000 and we get it, I'm going to match it with $50,000. So that gives us $100,000. Same way with the tablets. Same way, we got another program we started. It's called Solution for Aging in Place. you got to put some things in place. So if you're 40, 50 years now, you need to talk about what are you going to do when you're 60, 70, and 80. And I'm so grateful that I had an aging plan at age 20. At 20 years old, I knew where I was going to be sitting at 60. I'm sitting exactly where I planned, retired from my job, doing my business, got a very nice husband. He is super cool. And I got a son that's not always in my pocket. He pays rent, but I can tell you he ends up getting it back. But you know what? He's still out there. He's not in the penitentiary. He's not dead. And it's only because I kept my foot on his neck. I kept him engaged in the community. I kept him involved in the community. I mean, one time, Nate, I gave him my furniture, right? I had that furniture for 20 years. I was like, hey, T, I got some furniture. Boom, just take care of it. I saw him about 6 months later. I was like, baby, what you do with that furniture? He's like, Mom, one of my friends was homeless. And I gave him my furniture. I was like, what am I going to say? I raised that kid. So I would have done the same thing. But I was like, I had that furniture for 20 years. You hit it 6 months. You didn't give it away.
Gave my stuff away.
But she had 2 kids. But you know, Nate, I had to bite my tongue. I was like, that's my son.
Hey, Sandra, Hey, Sandra, can you hear me? I want to go back and I want to focus on that tablet program, because I know that's something that you do a lot, but I know that's something that you're really focusing on right now, right?
Yes, baby.
So talk to us more about what you're doing with the seniors. So you got a grant to help seniors learn how to use tablets, and you're looking for people that can basically teach the seniors.
Yes.
So what kind of people, like, are there any kind of requirements? Is there any kind of pay involved? What are the time frames for people who are interested in helping with that particular program?
Well, I'm willing to pay, right? So I'll pay anywhere from $15 to $25 an hour. Who wouldn't take the $25 an hour, right? But it depends on your skill level too. So you just have to have a great deal of patience, Nate. That's all. I'm not asking you to bring me your resume, your police report, your fingerprint. I just don't come there crazy, right? That's all I say. And just have a great deal of patience. So on my website is our calendar of events. We put that on there all the time, and that's www.blackage.org. So I have a calendar on there, and that calendar has the dates. Like I'm there this Saturday, matter of fact. So I got 2 sessions this Saturday at 3635 Reading Road. That's the Avondale Business Center. And it's from 10 to 12 and from 1 to 3. If you're available, I mean, I'm not telling you to come pack the house, but you can call me on my phone at 861-2790, and I would appreciate your help. But Nate, I must say too, I get calls and emails all the time from folks saying they want to come and help me and then they don't show up. So I want you to be serious about showing up, because yesterday, like now, we need folks that can attend our council meetings, our community council meetings. Not only that, but the city, the county, and bring that information back to our seniors so that they can get zoomed in to what is going on. That's the whole purpose of the tablets, so that they can be on my chart with their doctors. Because if you notice now, when you call your doctor, they won't give you that information over the phone. They'll say, wait until you come back again. But if I'm 80 years old, I may not see you again for 6 more months, but I need the results now. So you can go on my chart, but we have to teach our seniors how to log into my chart, because now with HIPAA, they're not going to give you information over the phone, folks. They're just not. And then you're going to be in that doctor's office maybe 2 minutes. And we need to teach our seniors to keep those doctors in there to answer all their questions. So we're having them to write down their questions before they go to the doctor. So when they get there, they won't, freak out and forget what to ask. So the computers serve a lifeline. It opens up the world. That's why they call it the World Wide Web. It opens up the world. They can interact with each other. They say isolation is like smoking 15 packs of cigarettes a day. So just think about it. I get up in the morning. I'm 75 years old. It's going to take me a minute to get out of bed. God forbid if I got to go in there and cook and stand up, and I can't. What am I going to eat? Guess what? Some junk. I'm not going to make no decent breakfast. I'm not going to have any fresh fruit around. So one of the programs we push is fresh produce. I mean, I can't push that enough. And I get calls sometimes. Folks will say, could you bring me some fresh produce? And I'll say, like what? Just a cup of apples, some oranges, and this. I got cabbage, I got greens, I got all kind of stuff in that bag, because I can fill up that bag for $30 and take it to them at no cost. So that's to me, I love being able to help those that need help. And our seniors, they've been taught to take care of their business, right? So this group of seniors that I'm dealing with now, they are much better than the seniors I served 30 years ago. And what I mean by that, the ones 30 years ago, most of them worked in domestic. They was housekeeper. They did that. The guys may have worked for the city, but they didn't pay into a pension, right? Because they didn't want to give up that extra money because they got 5 kids and plus they was, it was out there. These guys these days, they're not retiring from the city. They just ain't retiring. They just out here. I mean, I had a guy that stopped by the office yesterday, 68 years old. He was coming for the computer training. On his phone, he blasting Tupac. And I'm just jamming with him, right? I'm like, hey. And he's like, you know that song? I'm like, do you know that song? But what I had to think, he's almost 70. He's listening to Tupac. I said, well, how long was you in the penitentiary? How make you think I was in the penitentiary? He did 35 years. It's just his whole demeanor told me that he ain't been in society in 30 some odd years. So he did 30 years in the penitentiary. So where do you think he at right now? Sleeping on girlfriend's couch, right? But he had enough sense. Maybe when he was younger, he paid something into the Social Security system. So he gets about $275, $300 a month. What are you going to do with that? That ain't no money.
Right.
So how do we teach our seniors to be self-sufficient? So I get phone calls all the time about they missed their assessment, right, with Job and Family Service. So therefore, you're not going to get your food stamp. Your Medicaid card is going to come, but you need to talk to somebody. So no one's taking phone calls right now. But if you go online, you can get an appointment. You can get a check. But we got to teach them how to do that. You and I, we can do that. It comes natural. We can't get something, boom, we get online. We want our seniors to use that as a second hand. And so
Right.
the computers is to teach them how to be a part of society. You're talking about voting registration? Well, they need to see if they're eligible to vote. Did I already vote? Because sometimes when you get to be old, you didn't forget about some things. So we got to do a better job in making sure if you see an old person in the grocery store, just ask them if they're okay. Just say, hey, ma'am, you okay? Sir, you okay? And you know what they're going to say? Babe, I've been looking for that cornbread for almost 10 minutes because they ain't looking down. They looking up. You know what I mean? First of all, they can't get down there. I can't get down there. Shit, I'm like, so I already know. And so I just want folks to be mindful of our old people. You're in the traffic driving with them. Don't be blowing your horn because they took off too slow. Let them go. They scared to death out there driving anyway because they don't have anyone coming to take them to the store, folks. You ever see old folks walking, they got those bags and they heavy as heck? I see them. I guess I have a radar. People tell me I got an aging radar, but I do. So I'm hoping, and I put it out there and I'll make it public. We want about 500 of those grocery carts. When they go shopping, they can put that stuff in the cart and they can go. Because if you have too many bags on Metro and you need that other seat, Metro gonna make you pay for that extra seat. And people don't get up and help the elderly like you think on the bus anymore. They just it was a time we would get up. We're not doing that. So there's a lot that we can do on that computer. We can teach them how to order their own foods on that computer. We can teach them how to, like, you ever go to the bank and you see a whole bunch of seniors in there, and most of them is in there to find out the balance of their account, knowing they overdraw that account. And I remember asking Fifth Third, like, how many people come in here on an average time? I tell you, that first week of the month, it looks like a herd of cattle. They in there to get that money out of their account because everything is direct deposit. But what if you don't know how to count? So I hear seniors sometimes say, give me all ones. So how you get $300 in ones? So that's a sign for me. Oh, he don't know how to count. So let me ask him what else he need help with. What else you need? And he'll say, well, baby, I was going to the grocery store, but I need to make sure that I got enough money. I think you got 300 singles. You got enough money. But who's going to stand out there and count out $62 in single? What cashier is going to be patient enough to allow you to do that? So therefore, let me get you a $50 gift card from Kroger's and you ain't got to worry about it. Oh, yeah, baby, that makes more sense. That way they don't have to worry about not knowing how much change to get back. Because some of our folks still can't read and write, and don't assume that they can. And these bills that they get from Duke, these bills are so small. I wish they would circle how much you owe. And maybe that's another flight we can do. Anybody listening from corporate, circle the amount, because I'm going through all that paper and I'm still saying, baby, I don't know how much I owe. I'm like, well, this is how much you owe. It's at the bottom. You and I, we're going to go straight to the bottom. They're not going to the bottom, you guys. They know they owe something, but they don't know exactly how much. So you tell me $87.52. Guess what? How do I pay that? So I remember my dad. I love my dad. My dad has been gone now for, it'll be 4 years. And I would take him to the store. As I start watching him slip, I said, "Oh, we got to start going with him, you guys." So I took the grocery store, and my sister took the bank, right? Because I know how the bank could be. I know how my dad could be. He was not going to do checks. He wasn't. So he would come out with 15 dang on money orders. I'm like, "Dad, what you get all these money orders for?" I was like, "They all cost." He said, "Nah, baby, that's why you go to the one that's free." So once we got him to see that, Dad, you ain't got to do all that. You can do this. Maybe we can set you up and you just call on the phone. You can do it automatically. You can just with your checking account. Trust me, he never did that. But we did get those money orders down to baby too, But it's those type of things, folks. Pay attention to what they need, and then you write the aging plan. I got an aging plan booklet I would give. We don't charge for that. You need to talk about it. Is it time to be mom's guardian? Is it time to step up for dad? Because these men, I'm sorry, they stubborn, and only because they've been taught you take care of your business as a man, you take care of your family as a man, and when you take that dignity from a man, guess what? You have taken their soul out. So therefore, you got to be very delicate. You can't come at him all rough and raw. I know what you need. Hey, sir, how can I help you? I bet you was something else in your day. And let them start talking about what their dreams was. And they didn't make it, but guess what? It's an excitement of it. You don't ever want to make a person feel like they're less than what they are. Our seniors are struggling in these senior housing. Some of these agencies are not doing them right. I got a lady now, she don't have no damn heat. I'm like, you don't have no heat? They're going to bring her 2 heaters? What a heater going to do? It's cold out there now. But you know what? She said, "Baby, I don't want you to make no way," because she don't want to get put out. I said, "Could you have your daughter to call me?" I'm still waiting on that daughter to call. So every time I work with a senior, the first thing I ask, "You got any family? You got anybody? You know anybody?" Where did you work? If they tell me they worked at any of these hospitals for years, I'm calling that hospital. "Hey, how you doing? I know Miss Jones retired several years ago. Do you guys have anything for your retirees?" What do you mean? Like anything. Do you do a care package from time to time? Do you just check on them? Companies don't do that. They're not going to do that. So guess who is on? Us. It's on us. So if you need help, you got an elderly person, I'm not, I'm not all of that. And it's not even about me. I never wanted them to pay for nothing. And so the grant that we got it from United Way through Black Led. And it was only because of the need that I see that our elders need to be connected. We got to get them connected to everything we do. When you go to an event, if it's not senior friendly, you ask the promoter, "Hey, is there any way next year you can do something different so we can have a corner over here for the seniors?" That's why my hat goes off to Cassandra Robinson when she used to do, and Tracy's still doing it too. They got the senior zone at the Black Family Reunion. We talked about that for years. I need a spot just for the seniors. So when they come, they got a spot. They ain't got to worry about a tent. They got a tent. They got refreshments there. And so when you go to the Black Family Reunion, which the city of Cincinnati is the only one that's hosting one, go to that senior zone. Just say, "Hey, how you doing? You need anything?" Tri-Health is next to them. So people, there's a lot that we can do. Look at their insurance policy. I know seniors that have been paying on policies for 30, 40 years, and it's not worth a dime it was written on. We still got to put money with it. So how do you pay $17 and now you didn't pay them $35,000 on a $10,000 policy? At some point, somebody got to say, "Mom, I think that policy is too old." And then, you got some of these funeral homes that they had policy to, like Jameson and Jameson. I don't know who's honoring them. It was Hall Jordan. I don't even know, because you know what I do? I call JC Battle Funeral Home or Gail Winfro. Them the only 2 people I call. I call them too. I know Brian is out here doing this thing, but most of the elders, that's who had their policies. 90% of our seniors that I know, they going to JC Battle or they're going to Winfro because they grew up with those names. They know those folks. They comfortable with those folks because those folks, guess what? They went to their houses and say, hey, how you doing, Miss Jones? You don't need me now, but you might need me later. Let me make sure that your family's okay. So people, if I leave you with anything, I need people that are passionate about the elders. I would love if you got young kids and you think that they need help with scholarship money. Then I see that your baby's getting ready to sell. She's selling popcorn. We need to help as much popcorn as we possibly can have for her to reach her dreams. We got to invest into our young people, you guys. Someone invested into me at a young age. I joined Avondale Council when I was 17 years old. And I am so grateful to end up as the president of Avondale Community Council. You're talking about a dream come true. That was a dream come true, but it was also a lot of work. So if you got grandparents, you haven't talked to them, you haven't seen them, go see them. Talk to your moms.
Real quick before you're rolling, I want to talk about, if you're up to it, to talk about, I know you're no longer the president of Avondale, but I know you got a lot to talk about if you don't mind. But what's your contact information again?
It's Sandra Jones at fuse.net. That's that with SOAC, but our phone number is area code 513-861-2790. And our website is Black Age. Black Age.
Black Age. And again, you're looking for people right now that can work with the seniors. And
that
do
can
they
help
give
me.
you a resume? Or what exactly do they show up? Do they call you first? Obviously,
I would say call me and we'll talk, right? I'll see what you're interested in. And you can bring your resume. You can send me an email. But I could tell you, like now, Jenny Lester, everybody know Dr. Jenny Lester. Her daughter, Gina, helps me. And that was through a phone call through Jackie Humphrey. Sandra, I got somebody. Her name is Gina. Let her help. Well, that's what she does, right? It's word of mouth. It's word of mouth.
Let's talk about, how long were you the president of Avondale
2 years.
Council? 2 years.
I was the president for 2 years. I stayed involved and still involved for over 40 years. So I've been there for 40 years.
And so, in your viewpoint, what's the future of Avondale? I mean, I see a lot of development happening, that MLK corridor. You got the Avondale Town Center there, and they've got spaces that are open for different vendors and businesses. I mean, if you had to give us a community report from your time on the Avondale Community Council, what would you say?
Get involved. When there's a meeting, be on it. It shouldn't be just the Avondale Community Council talking about Avondale. It should be the residents, the business owners, everyone, the churches. Every meeting that takes place pertaining to the Avondale community should have representation from the nursing homes, from the businesses, and the residents. So I think for so long, it was just the council doing its own thing, right? So I decided not to run because of the lack of support that I received. I mean, folks are just very centered around themselves. And so I was always thinking that, we're going to work as a team. We're going to be in the house. We're going to make sure that the residents of Avondale, our kids, our seniors, get what they need and get what they want. But if you're not at the table, we say you're on the menu. So I would say that my time was very cool for me because my agenda was to engage the community, which I did, to start something that would be everlasting, which to pedestrian safety is. The community engagement part is still going. And then to work with your community institutions, right? You got all these institutions. If you had to ask me 40 years ago, I would have said, these guys they're going to take over. Well, today I would say they've already taken over. When I was going to the meetings when I was younger, we were trying to save homes and create businesses. I saw so many people lose their property and sold their property, right? For little or nothing, that could have gotten millions today. It's like but we was telling them that. I got two good friends that thank me every day. And that's when Ronald McDonald was buying up the property. And I said, don't sell just yet. And they were able to walk away with a decent check. Same way with the zoo. Don't sell yet. They were able to walk away with a decent check. I'm talking $300,000-$400,000, not $40,000. So some of those folks, I think if you go back and ask them, would you have sold your property I think they would have said no today, because now you know the value of land. And I think as a community council, it's our responsibility to make sure that the residents in the community understand the value of their land, but also understand what's going on. And so I remember Patricia Milton, the president, before me, she said, I said, Patricia, you had all these meetings. I said, we need you to bring back some of those reports so we'll know what's going on. And she said, Sandra, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't really have time to get through all of that. I said, but we got to be able to tell the people what's going on. So now we're meeting on Zoom with a handful of people, and we're deciding now for a whole community. And so people, what I see in Avondale, I know that there's going to be anywhere from $2 to maybe $7 billion going to be spent in this community, and development is going to continue to take place. There's no land for sale now. You got folks that's just sitting on land. You can't afford it. There's a house on Lexington Avenue a friend of mine was looking at. She said it was $40,000 last year. This year is $400,000, and it's about to fall. You got to look at this house, and you're like, whoa. So I have a house down on Ridgeway where they're going to build that Watson Way. And so that's the hot topic right now, Watson Way, because it's coming through Avondale. They already secured the money. They got the money, but they don't have all the land. The city owns the land. So I said to the Avondale Council last year, make sure we get an acre of that land, of that 20 acre. Said it again this year. We're going to see if we get some money off that land. Anyway, I got a sister that lives in a house. I sold her about 15 years ago. And it's right there against Watson Way. They knocking on her door every day. You want to sell your house? You want to sell your house? I tell my sister, don't sell that house. I don't care. Whatever you do, don't ever sell that house. And when I sold her that house, I told her the same thing. I said, because 71 is going to come down your backyard. 71 is down her backyard, right? So we got to be mindful of what's going on, but we also got to pay attention and go to some of these meetings when decisions are being made based on your life, my life, our kids' life. So the Avondale Community Council, I will always be a part of that council. This group here, they're going to go away. They're going to be off. They're not going to run again. Some of them, because they ain't, they interesting. But I remember telling Bernadette Watson and Reggie and some of the other ones, I said, I'll be here long after you're gone. And I will be here long after these guys are gone. Because it's about the people in Avondale. So I just told you it was 15,000 residents in Avondale. There's a prediction out that it's going to be less than that in 5 years. So now you're talking 7,000. What the heck's going to be there, you guys? It's going to look like little New York, right? You're going to have houses that you can't afford. They building them now $350,000 and up, right? So people, I would say, as the past president of the Avondale Community Council, I'm not happy with where things are going, but I'm also willing to do something about that. And so as a community, we got to be willing to take out time and do more. Wherever community you live in, wherever community you want to have a business in, you should be involved with the politics of that community. So I attend the meetings, right? But I notice I don't get all the emails I used to get invited to all this other stuff. They took me off that reel, but I still know what's going on. You know why? Because I'm in Avondale. I go to Avondale every day. I'm in Avondale every day, talking to the people, telling them what's going on, and signing them up for resident council. I'm going to tell you this today. I brought 25 members to the resident council. They signed up for membership. Them folks had a tissy fit in January. They talking about changing the daggone bylaws because I brought 25 new members. I said, okay, so don't you want members? No, they want members they can control. That's what people want. Most people want that. I want you to think like me. Why would I want you to come on there to not think like me? And so I thought that was some funny stuff. So they said, well, how did all 25 of them join? I said, I recruited them. I recruit members every day. I'm recruiting all of you guys. So if you live, work, worship, drive by Avondale, call the Avondale Community Council and join for $5. So you can have a stake in what is going to happen in that community. So the bylaw says if you live, work, or worship in Avondale. So they're working on the bylaws as we speak. I just think that is so funny. All because I brought 25 people to the membership. Just 25. My goal is 1,000. Okay. So now I got 1,000 residents that's a part of their community council. What are you going to do with them, for them, to them? You should welcome them. They about to change the bylaw. that an organization can only have 1 or 2 members on the organization. Really? What you're afraid of? You need to be afraid of keeping the land, working with the institution so that we can make a better future for our kids. That UC Hub, they looking for folks that are going into that digital realm. We need to push our kids over there. That building will be up and working next year. We need to make sure our kids are there now. Don't wait until the building is opened up and they didn't hire everybody they need, because they're going to be searching for folks from all over the world. Why can't we educate our kids now? They have, in fact, it's a free class going on to teach you about that. But I bet you haven't seen that email, No. And guess what? When we get off the phone, I'm going to send it to you because our kids need to know. Every public school need to have that email, because UC is paying for folks. You can call Community Action Agency. They're offering it. It's Community Action Agency, Web Venture, all of those guys meet. We meet every month to talk about this digital life that's going to take place in Avondale. And they don't have enough African-American young people over there. That's the message. So again, I'm not in there. So with me, I would say, okay, Avondale Council, what are you doing to get the word out? It shouldn't be just an email. It needs to be something that's blanket out through our community. So one of the things I'm hoping to do as I stay involved is to be that mouthpiece, right? So when I see young people, I'm like, hey, here's my number. Nate, I go through about 10,000 business cards a year. How many people could say that? But I'm not just giving them to our elders. I give them to our little babies. Yesterday, I bought 5 little kids pizza. They said, we want a pizza. Okay, they all on the door because they see my car. They live next door to the office. I'm like, what y'all doing for school? Miss Sandra, school ain't doing too good because their mama ain't home doing virtual with them. So they like, I'm like, y'all hungry? Yeah. I ordered pizza. Boy, it was so cute, but I wish I could have done virtual with them, because I know now it's 5 o'clock. They got to eat, So, I mean, I spent $70. That's nothing, So I got $70 to buy 5 kids some pizza, Then they, they had to throw in the fries, but I wasn't buying the pop. I said, I got water, But guess what? They'll be back today because I love them and I've shown them love. But you know what, Nate? I've been knowing those kids for 4.5 years since I've been in that office. I've never met their moms and dads. Why would you let somebody bring home a piece? My kid could not bring home a piece that somebody bought him. Is you crazy? I said, tell your mom where you got the pizza from. Gave them my card. I'm still waiting on the moms to call and say, even just thanks. Don't know what I got in that pizza. You don't know. I mean, I'm a good person, but challenge me. Ma'am, why did you buy my son a pizza? Mm-hmm. So those are the type of things in our community that we got to be mindful of. And people, you can say, them babies tell me they hungry. I'm buying them something. I'm gonna buy them something. And so thank you for this opportunity. My husband left me. He gone to play pickleball.
I really appreciate your time, and I'm gonna put your contact information up there as well, and then work with you to help promote, to try to get people to help out with that program for the seniors. I really appreciate the work that you do in our community.
I love it, Nate. I mean, I'm 60 years old. So to be 60, I have 35 nieces and nephews. My niece, Venetia Finch, is my executive director, assistant. I mean, I got my family all up in here. My 1-year-old, she know how to put stuff in the bags. That's my great niece. I mean, I done taught them all. They'll say, so act, I want them to know what that is, because it's about them. So 40 years from now, who's going to be saying and doing what I'm doing? It has to be them. My one nephew, he said he ain't driving my van. It's too regular. He want another van. Okay, he's 8. So guess what? At 18, he's going to be thinking, what van could I drive and go pick up these seniors with? You know what I mean? He's not scared of a wheelchair. You know what I mean? He's not scared of someone drooling. He's not scared of someone that had a stroke. He's not scared of someone that's got a colostomy bag. He's not afraid of somebody that's got one eye. He's not afraid of somebody that's missing all their teeth. You know what I mean? We got to help our kids be comfortable with old people, because we're going to get old. I'm sorry. We are. I'm 60. I keep telling them I'm 60. And I take advantage of that. Come clean my house, So, and they come, because guess what? I pay them. I tell them, you don't have to pay me back now, but when I get to be 80 and 90 and I can't do it for real, I want you to show up. So it's about showing up. So thank you for this opportunity. We say, so act. You know the issues, so act. You know the issues.
Well, Sandra, have a great day, and we'll be in
That's my
contact for
plan.
sure.
I thank you. Thank you, everyone, for
Absolutely.
your comments and love.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. That's Sandra Jones Mitchell right there, founder of SOAC. And we don't spend enough time talking about what's happening with our seniors. I mean, Sandra does great work. Like she said, we all gonna get older, and we can't be forgotten. So we're gonna work with her to put the word out about what SOACT is doing. As she said, she's looking for volunteers. Perhaps there could be some pay involved to help teach seniors how to use, something as simple as this. Something as simple as this. And I agree with her completely. I mean, the internet is a pipeline to the whole world. That's like a whole different language that people have to learn. And it's easy for me, she's of my generation. You know what I'm saying? I would do this for free, for fun. My son has had a tablet in his hand since he was a kid. Same thing with my daughter. They grew up in the digital age. We grew into the digital age. But what about our seniors? So I really respect the work she's doing, and you'll hear more about it as we move forward here on the show as an opportunity. But for folks that might have missed it, if you want to contact Sandra and you want to go to her website, that's her phone number there, 513-861-2790. Our website is 3ws.blackage.org. Very interesting conversation. Then we got a little bit into what's happening in Avondale. That was interesting too, boy. Things is changing. Avondale is changing right in front of us. It is changing. Sister Iris writes, she will and she does all of what she said and more. Absolutely. She's a real one, 100%. Brother Powell writes, she's a great mother. I was her son's football coach. I got to catch up with you, Brother Powell. A lot of good people and shit. We talk about all these other issues, but I'm Cincinnati based. My roots are in this city. My concern is the city and Black folks in the city. That's my focus. And so anybody that's doing any good work or anything in our community, I want to help promote what they're doing. That's what we do here. We drop the hottest flows and we talk about, all the fun stuff and the serious stuff on a national level, but I'm a Cincinnati-based show, and I never forget that. So I appreciate her time this morning. Really appreciate her time. And if you know someone who's interested or you're interested, then perhaps this might be something that you might want to check them out. You might want to help them out. No pressure, but a little bit of pressure. And if that's something that you're into, or you feel like you've got some time, then give Sandra a call. And you can go to her website. Again, I was on the website this morning, and they do have a whole calendar of events up, but you can see the upcoming dates and things like that. Pardon me. Maybe something aligns with your schedule. Maybe you got a little time on the weekend or something like that. Again, no pressure, but just a little bit of pressure. Completely up to you. Or maybe you got some folks that are looking to get some hours with some community service hours. I'm thinking about Medium Buddha. I'm definitely going to run this past her. Maybe we can make this happen. And, because, I just remember as my grandmother was getting older, she was a big woman. And, sometimes when you go to the hospital, they don't really want to deal with you. They don't really want to touch you. You know what I'm saying? We had to experience all of that kind of stuff. So all that ageism shit is real. It is all real. See, Junior's here. What's up, Junior? What's that in your hand? Where's Black Panther at? Why don't you go get Black Panther and bring him down here? I didn't buy that. Okay. You're all virtual learning, huh?
I don't have any German.
No German today? Okay. That boy. Before we go any deeper in the show, matter of fact, we're almost at the end. I want to remind you that our friends over at Renew Community Church, they do a Sunday morning masterclass. Each and every Sunday, they do a masterclass, and they have different provocative topics. And all of the topics are generated in a way to help you live the best life you can possibly be. That's what it all comes down to. Here's the topic for this Sunday. It's about to happen for you in 2022. Learn how to feel good every 60 seconds of your life as things manifest for you. It's 11:45 a.m. You can tap in on YouTube and also on Facebook. And you can see on Facebook, facebook.com/Cincy Renew, CINCI Renew. And on YouTube, Renew Community Church live stream. If you go to renewcommunitychurch.org, you can sign up for a free ebook and possible free personal and/or business coaching with Charlie Winburn. And tell them you heard about it here on the Nathan Ivey Show. All right. Have an excellent rest of your day, family. I wish you nothing but the best. Go out there and win. Remember our motto: winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners. So stay focused and stay winning. I'll be back and hopefully better than ever tomorrow morning with you at 8 a.m. I'm easing back to that 7 a.m. times frame, but at 8 a.m. I'll be live with you tomorrow morning and also on Friday. I feel great. Every day I feel stronger and stronger. And I've heard about people having those residual sort of COVID effects. I don't feel any of that. I feel great, but I still want to ease back into it. So just bear with me just a little bit. So I'll be back with more superlative flows tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and on Friday at 8 a.m. as well. Never know who we talk to. Never know who we might be talking to. So make sure you tap in and share the show. Have an excellent rest of your day, family. Until next time, I'm Nate Ivey, and I'm out.
I'm Brian.
Love interrupted by tragedy, lost in the drought of nightfall, running in search of the remedy, trying to find her place in it all, focused only on the negative. All she can attract is pain. Perception is what will manifest. Thought she could escape.